we are going to teach you how to price out your work. One of the biggest challenges as a maker is determining what to charge for your products. And after 10 years of being in the business and over $10 million in sales, I think we've got a few answers for you. We are going to discuss both pre-made and custom-built items. Here are the key points that we are going to cover. What is your cost of materials? How much is your time worth? Who are the buyers in your market? Can you charge more based on your clientele and location? Is there a lot of competition? How much is your overhead? Commercial space versus garage and home shop. Let's start with a pre-made item. We are going to use a serving board as our example, but the same principles will apply to a larger build like a coffee table or a dining table. Here's our cost breakdown. For this example, we will make a 24-inch long walnut serving board with a handle. Our wood costs us $29. Our finish will cost us about $3. Our consumables, so our sandpaper, white pad, and shop towels, will be another $3. And that brings our total cost of materials and consumables to $35. Now this number will vary depending on where you are located and if you are buying supplies in bulk and even at a wholesale level. But these are based off of buying at a retail level from a website or local supply shop. For our custom made example, we are going to do a 24-inch long walnut serving board with a handle and a custom engraving. So our wood again is $29. The finish is approximately $3. Our engraving will cost about $25. We'll need about $18 worth of epoxy, and our consumables again will be about $3. Our total cost of materials and consumables is $88. Naturally, the cost of materials will be more with a custom project versus a pre-made piece. The reason for that is that the client will pick out the details and you need to source material that will be suitable for their job. This may include buying a larger piece of wood and chopping it down to the custom size requested, or adding a detail such as an engraving. You also have to factor in the time it takes to work out the details of a custom piece. How much is your time worth? This factor will play a major role in pricing out your products. Some people will want to earn a high hourly rate, and other people will only want to cover their materials and consumables because they are doing the project for fun and they're probably only making a few things for family and friends. Let's assume you want to make $50 an hour for all of your time spent in your shop making pre-made items. A completed 24-inch serving board with a handle should take approximately 1.5 hours from start to finish. So if you charge $50 an hour for your time, you would charge $75 of labor for this board. Now take that $75 of labor and add it to the cost of materials, which was $35, and you've got yourself $110 for the finished board. Generally speaking, you need a little bit more skill when crafting a custom piece, and you can generally charge more for your time. For our custom board, we are going to charge $65 an hour, and it will take approximately 2 hours to complete. That means we are charging $130 in total labor. Now take that $130 for labor and add the cost of materials, which was $88, and you've got yourself $218 for the finished board. Let's talk about the market you're in. Can you charge more based on your clientele and location? Do you have a lot of competition? Now the question is, can you charge $110 for the pre-made finished board or $218 for the custom board in your area? The true answer to this will be answered when you try to sell your finished piece. The market will always determine the value of a finished product. Let's say you list your item on Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, and you do a post on your personal social media pages to see if family or friends might be interested. If the item sits for a week or longer, it is likely that the price is too high and you won't sell at the current price point. This may be because, 1, there's a lot of competition in this space and you are competing against multiple other similar items. 2, your price is simply too high for what the item is. 3, your product isn't very good or it just doesn't show well in photos. Before I list an item for sale, I always try to do a little market research and see what similar items are selling for in my area. This will act as a rough guideline when pricing items out. One thing to keep in mind is that you can always modify your price structure if this isn't working out. If your item sells quickly on the first day, you may have undercharged for your product. I would list another for the same price and see if it sells quickly again. If it does, then you know you have some room to increase your price because the demand is greater than the supply. I normally increase the price by 10 to 15% each time until I find a happy medium of products selling but not too fast. You should also consider the implied value of an item. What I mean by that is how much does the end user value the item you are selling? For example, I have noticed over the years that most people are willing to spend a lot on their dining table, and they try to save or spend less on something like an end table or a hallway table. I believe this is because people are likely to sit around the dining table with friends and family and they get to show off their beautiful table. It's not too often you go to someone's house and they show off their new end table. That being said, it's easier to sell items with higher implied value. Next, we're going to talk about your overhead. These expenses apply to both commercial space and home shops. Some people forget to factor in expenses that don't have a clear, tangible expense tied to them, such as electricity, website expenses, internet, sandpaper, blade sharpening, and other consumables. It's important to keep an eye on these expenses and make sure that they aren't taking all of the profits that you would have made. If you're unsure of what all these expenses are, keep a list in your shop as you are working. Jot down the items that you are using. Here's a few common pricing mistakes that apply to both pre-made and custom items. 1. Charging too little. I often see people charging too little for their work, and they end up doing all this work, making all these sales, and at the end of the day, they haven't made any profit. After I sell a pre-made piece or quote a custom-made piece, I always ask myself if this is the type of sale that is scalable and if I would enjoy doing this over and over again. If you charge too little, the response to that question will generally be no. If you answer no, then you need to raise your price until the answer is yes. This is very critical to enjoying your time in the shop and staying motivated to work on the projects that you're working on. Number 2, forgetting to factor in expenses and time, such as sourcing material, marketing efforts to sell products. Think of the time spent taking photographs, posting to social media, or time spent responding to DMs or messages about the product. Also, delivering and shipping the finished product. All of these tasks take time and energy and should be accounted for when you are determining price. 3. A lot of people forget to factor in the rise in cost of the materials that they are using. It's important to stay in tune with your material costs and adjust your final price accordingly. Lastly, it's important to keep track of the time spent on a project and compare those times to your quoted times. Quite often, these projects take longer than expected, and it's easy to continually misquote projects if you don't check in at the end and compare quoted times to the actual times. Let us know if you have any other questions about pricing items out. We would be happy to answer them in the comments.